Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Vande Guru Paramparam. We are in Kathopanishad, first chapter, third part, and we are looking at the last two verses. And last 2 weeks we have been looking at Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata Kshurasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaya Durgam Patastat Kavayo Vadanti. And we were, the teacher inspiring his young student by saying this word, arise, awake, and Uttishta Jagrata, and arise from your ignorance and awaken to your own inherent potential reality that you are, and Prapya Varan Nibodhata, and reach that what the wise men have reached. And this path, even though you arise, but to be awakened to that supreme reality which is our inner core, to be that, from the point of view of individuality, we have to give up individuality to be the reality. Now nobody wants to give up their themselves. Nobody wants to commit a suicide, and yet here a conscious suicide has to be brought about. And in this path, and this path of the annihilation of the ego, of the individuality, it is Kshurasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaya. It is a double-edged sword, and it is certainly, it is very hard to tread upon, because both ways you lose yourself. If you go to the one side, you will be cut completely and you will lose your individuality. If you are cut the other side of the sword, again you are cut and you are divorced from your own essential nature and become a samsari, meaning become a individual. Individual is he for whom the world is. Reality is for whom only reality is. So decide which way do you want to go. Both ways you have to get cut. So having said that, and because he has inspired him to arise and awake and told him it is a difficult path, now the student in us, we are also students of that truth, and we should not start objectifying that reality. Oh my God, it is something to be apprehended, it is something to be grasped, it is something to be known through the thoughts, through the mind, comprehended by the mind. It is and we might make the mistake of conceptualizing it, intellectualizing it, and so that we do not go in that direction, immediately the teacher throws in another verse, अशब्दमस्पर्शम अरूपम अव्ययम तथारसम नित्यमगंधवच्चयत् अनाद्यनन्तं महतः परं ध्रुवं निचाय्य तन्मृत्युमुखात् प्रमुच्यते. So beautiful. Here the language of negation has been taken because truth cannot be known through the mind. You cannot say truth is this, truth is that, truth is. So, yes, there are times when we say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. We do say that. But when you go, that is just as a lollipop in the initial stages. But as we come closer and closer to or deeper in our contemplation, then we are told it is neither Sat nor Asat, it is neither Chit nor Achit, it is neither Anand nor Dukkham. You have to go beyond all opposites, because all these words that you attribute to the reality, to your essential nature, that it is Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, Surup, every Nitya has an opposite called Anitya, Shuddha has an opposite called Ashuddha, Buddha is Abuddha or Ajnana, Mukta, Amukta. Mukta is free, Amukta is bound. So every word that you can conceive of, as great as it may be, even if the word used is Atma, Anatma, see, infinite, finite, opposite. So whatever word you can construe in your mind for that reality which is beyond the words and the mind, that word will have an opposite. So you cannot say that it is this, it is this, it is this, it is this. So we are talking only because once you are that, then there is no question of you saying to yourself that I have given up the world, that I have given up the opposites, then I have given up. You don't say that now I am in sleep when you go to sleep. All you do is remove all I will use this word, all the obstacles to the sleep. They are removed from the mind. And what is the resultant? The resultant is sleep. What is sleep? You also don't know. Nobody has seen the sleep yet. Nobody has known the sleep yet. See? So same way here, when he says Ashabdam Asparsham Rupam Avyayam, he is using that. For initially he begins with that all the five elements have got no impact on this reality that you are. See? And what are we? What is individuality? Individuality is that which has given validity to these five great elements. Individuality is that which is identified with these five great elements. Individuality is that which is enslaved by these five great elements in the form of body, in the form of nature, in the form of universe. So you decide. We want to keep our individuality intact and you want to know the reality. Forget it. It's just not possible. It requires a special acumen. And that special acumen is an intuitive one. In spite of the words, even while you are listening to the words which are indicating that which cannot be indicated, which are indicating that which cannot be known, that are indicating that which does not have any form, does not have any quality, does not have any attributes, which is all pervasive. It is it. For that, you have to be subjective. Even while listening, Our attention has to be on the conscious principle that we are. Don't get lost in the words that are coming to your ears. These words must be the triggers to drive us deep into our own self. They are like the prompters. There's one book of Nisarga Datta Maharaj, pointers to the consciousness. These words are the pointers or prompters to the consciousness that we are. But we have to remember, words, if we are focused on the words, then we have lost the plot. If we can understand what consciousness is not a concept. Yeah, I know what consciousness. Consciousness means knowledge. No, consciousness means you. Existence means you. All pervasiveness means you. Eternity means you. Which you now you find out. Find out. Just as you don't create sleep, sleep happens when you negotiate through whatever is required to be negotiated. You withdraw from the world physically, you withdraw from the house physically, you withdraw from the room physically, you withdraw from the light, you put off the light, you get into the bed, etc. All these are, you're creating the proper conditionings for yourself. But when sleep happens, if you have not caught it, you should catch it. Try to catch it. Similarly, when we come to satsang, when we listen to the Upanishads, we are consciously withdrawn from everything. That's why you are here. Now be conscious of the one, because of who is that me, who's pervading all the five senses, who is that me who's pervading the mind, who is that me who knows that the thoughts are coming and going in the mind, who is that me? Am I the thought, or am I the one who is transcendental to the thought? For that, a special knack is required. Maybe one day, by God's grace, it will click. That's why we keep teaching and you keep listening. So, these ashabdam asparsha is the five senses. It is beyond, means shabda means sound, ashabda means no sound. Meaning there is no trace of sound in the reality. There is no trace of the five sensory senses and their potentials in the reality. And then what is it? It is nityam. It is eternal. It is the constant. Yeah. Reality is the constant. I know it. I have heard it. No, it is not to be declared. You have to experience it directly. Aparoksha anubhuti. That you are the eternal principle. You are the eternal consciousness in essence, in the presence of which waking, dream, sleep come and go, thoughts come and go, concepts come and go, past, future come and go. The whole cosmos comes and goes. Now don't focus on all this list. Don't focus on this list. Focus on the Nitya Vastu. Be the Nitya Vastu. Nitya, the eternal one. Be the eternal one. And whatever its impact, however it expresses, whatever its consequences, be ready to go through till the impact of the mind reduces further and further and further and further. What does that mean? Just as when you're going to sleep, many times you yawn, many times you suddenly wake up, you're just gone into sleep and suddenly something disturbs you and you come out of it. Sometimes even while you are going into sleep, you are not slept yet, something disturbs you, some scratching here, some position, uncomfortable position, or you feel hot. All this is disturbance from the world. Where is the body does not get disturbed. It is the mind which gets disturbed. This mind has to become calmed down. And can you calm down the mind by thinking about the mind? Can you calm down the mind by thinking about the world? This world is made up of five great elements. The senses are made up of five great elements. They are continuously changing. Mind, nature is continuous change, waking, dream, deep sleep. So how can you quieten it? By nature it is fickle. Then if we are the consciousness, we have to contemplate on the non-fickle essence within us, which is that Nityam, the unchanging principle. Once and for all, conclude in yourself that I am that unchanging principle. Then nothing in this world, outside in the world or inside in our mind, should ever disturb us. And if it does disturb, the body is disturbed, mind is disturbed, you are absolutely, if you are witness of it, you will come back to the neutral position immediately, without any lag. You will not linger in that frustration or linger in that thought, linger in that feeling, linger in that resentment, linger in that anger. No, immediately back. Anyway, I'm going again into the symptoms of that. Here, we'll drop that and come back to this. Anadi anantam mahatah puram dhruvam. So where is beginning and where is end? It is also an idea in the mind alone, that there is a beginning and there is an end, birth and death. And here immediately even that concept of consciousness, which is individual consciousness, it was born when this body came into existence, and when this body goes out of existence, the individual consciousness also will go out of existence. So here he says anadi anantam, it is beginningless, it is endless, meaning it is birthless and it is deathless. Mahatah param. In the initial stages with the Vaishvanara, Agni, etc., we told you about the Mahat Tattva, the great reality, the cause of all of everything, the great self, the Mahat Tattva, the Hiranyagarbha, the Brahmaji, whichever words you want to use, the Pranava, that is another word for it. Param, this reality that you are, is even beyond that great self. It is beyond that total self. It is beyond that Vaishvanara. Otherwise, we'll be moving around in this world. I am in this person also. Oh, I am alone expressing through Sangeeta. I am alone expressing through Shailaja. I am alone expressing through Bhavesh. I am alone expressing through the elephant. I am alone expressing through the car. This will be stupidity. It is not like that. Because who is speaking like this? Individual. That infinite reality, when it manifested, when it incarnated on the earth as Krishna, it did what was required to be done. No, I am also Duryodhana. How can I kill him? We must love, we must forgive, we must. Forget it. If someone has done the wrong, the punishment will be there, or the consequence will be there by the nature. And everyone who did the wrong, from Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, etc., everyone who did wrong with Draupadi, with the Pandavas, or with the righteous people, they had to pay. See? And they had to pay. Some of them did not do anything. They were very respectful towards the good people, but they remained quiet when wrong was taking place. Even when they had the power and they could wield their power, yet they did not raise their voice, yet they did not interfere and stop the abuse. Therefore, they had to pay the price. No, he is such an elderly gentleman, he is more than 100 years old, how can I kill him? I am the I am the incarnation of the divine. Krishna knows he is divine at any given moment, but he is under no wrong notions of misplaced love and compassion and empathy. You have to play by the rules of the earth. See, he also played by the rules of the earth. He incarnated in the body. He had to go away as the body. But who is he who did not complain because of the death? Who is he? Throughout Bhagavad Gita, he knows who he is. Do we know who we are? Are we going to allow the world to dictate who we are? The world will dictate whether you like it or not. ये बुद्धू है, ये stupid है, ये लल्लू है. This is a mad fellow. So every saint was called like that only. So you will go to Vrindavan, there is a Pagal Baba ashram. So they used to call him Pagal Baba. In Pune, there is one Mahatma who used to smoke bidis. So he was Bidi Baba. And they used to laugh. Baba or Bidi, what type of saint is he? People will talk. But such masters, they do not give heed to the world. Why? Their attention is only on the constant one. And this constant one is Param Mahata. It is beyond the totality. Then what is beyond totality? Absolute. What is totality? Ocean. What is individuality? Wave. What is absolute? The waters. Totality, the ocean feels all the waves are in me, I am in all the waves. But absolute, From absolute standpoint, there is no ocean and no wave. Only water is. This language is being utilized to explain to an individual, not to the, we are not trying to explain it to the absolute, no, nor are we trying to explain it to the Ishvara, the ocean. And Dhruvam is unshakable, from where it is unshakable. Let n number of waking, dream and deep sleep come and go, may n number of past, present, future come and go, thoughts come and go, memories come and go, concepts come and go, seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting come and go, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya come and go, but this consciousness is unshakable. It remains as it is. And that I am. Param Dhruvam. Unshakable. Nichayya tan mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. And having known this reality in this manner, one escapes death, or one escapes from the mouth of death. Here, death is not just the death, a physical death. Here, death is called as, is taken as the principle of death. Every moment, death is happening. Every time you blink, vision is dying. Every time one thought is dead, the thought is dying, the breath is dying, the cells are dying, the day is dying, the night is dying. Everything is around you, comes with its, what is that word? Expiry date. That expiry date is the death. Everything. And one escapes this. Nichaya, having known this reality in this manner, one does not enter the mouth of death. So it is told, pramuchyate. Or pramuchyate, pramuchyate is freed from the mouth of death. See, up now when we hear this, apply it. See where you stand in yourself. Where do we stand in ourselves? Are we the father, son, brother, sister? Are we the one who is see no evil, hear no evil, talk no evil? Or are we the one who is doing yoga at the body level? Are we the one who is fixated with pranayam? Are we the one who is fixated with pratyahar? Are we fixated with some mantra? Savikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Or are we the one? If we talk about our death as a seeker of Kathopanishad, and if we have understood till now whatever has been narrated by the Lord of Death to Nachiket, if we have been subjective and we are absolutely in tune with the Lord of Death, if in our life after this we ever talk about death of our body, ourselves, we have not learnt anything. If we are afraid of our impending death, then we have not learnt anything. Another quality of the self is it's fearless, abhaya. Bhaya only, bhaya means fear. Fear only comes where there is duality, where there is differences. There only the fear comes from. Fear is always of the other. But when you alone are, self alone is, I alone am, as the Atman, not as the Jiva. Don't think this waker is all that there is. It's not possible. You have to go beyond the waker to be the self. Which is that self? Which knows. Who knows? The waker, dreamer, sleeper come and go every day. That one we are talking about. And that is you only. Because you know, yesterday all the three came and went. So it's a fine dissection of your own personality, of your own convictions, of your own conclusions about yourself. And separate. This is called discrimination. Dissection means discrimination between the real and the unreal, between the constant and the changing, between the infinite and the finite. This is Kshurasya Dhara. When you will fall, you don't know. So, extreme alertness and vigilance is required. Every moment. You can't take anything for granted. So, death means in which the entire visible universe is included. That it is widest, and it encompasses the whole universe. Because everything in this universe is finite, and the journey of the finite is birth, creation, maintenance, destruction. Destruction is death. जरा सोचिए. Last week we saw our this till here. Now in the we even saw the Sambandha Bhashya of the 16th verse. 16th verse says, these are the last two verses of this last part of the first chapter, third part of the first chapter. Nachiketam upakhyanam mrityu proktam sanatanam uktva shrutva cha medhavi brahmaloke mahiyate. It says, who are these medhavi? Who are these intelligent ones? See, before it was said kavaya vadanti, the realized ones, the great ones. Here it is told the intelligent ones. Who are these intelligent ones and what have they done? Where are we? Uktva shrutva. Uktva having, shrutva is having heard, and uktva is having spoken about what they have heard. And what is that? Nachiketam upakhyanam. And what have they heard and spoken about? the story of Nachiketa, Upakhyana, the story, the fable of Nachiketa. And from whom did they hear? Mrityu Proktam. Proktam, spoken by Mrityu, death himself. And what is this story? It is Sanatanam. It is eternal. A very ancient, very, very ancient story. Such people, what is the result? Now, this is the Falashruti, these two verses. Falashruti, everything that you do. Yesterday someone brought me some very spicy quinoa salad, and they tried it first time. They had never made quinoa before. So they brought it. They asked some third person, so then they brought it. Now, भिक्षा है तो खाना पड़ेगा. There's no escape. Had consequences there in the morning if you eat that spicy. Similarly, if we have studied this, listened or spoken and heard and spoken of this story, I am speaking of this story. Where did I hear it? From my teacher. You are hearing, I am speaking and you are hearing. Maybe you will tell this story to someone else. What happens to such? What is the result of having heard and telling this story with subjective approach? Brahma loke mahiyate. Such a person is glorified in the world of Brahma loke. Now, two ways we can look at this Brahma loke. One is in the world of Brahman, which is Brahman itself. From Brahman's point of view, from the absolute point of view, everything is absolute. So, no language is required. And if you take it, when you look at it from the next verse point of view, then Brahma loke is from the standpoint of totality, that is in the totality where all the gods, all the past, all the present, all the future is present. In such a place, one is glorified, meaning in the heavens one is glorified. So this is the lower meaning, and the higher meaning is Brahman. Will stick to Brahman because that is what our goal is, to be one with that absolute reality. We are not here to establish the world. We are here to be established in the absolute that we essentially are. We are not here to establish the ocean. Today we call it Indian Ocean, we call it Arabian Sea, we call it Southern Ocean, Pacific Ocean. Once upon a time, few million years ago, when the land masses were different, what were the name of the oceans? Was there a Pacific Ocean? Was there an Indian Ocean? Was there an Atlantic Ocean? Nothing like that. When India was separate from the Asian plate and it was connected to the African plate, there was no Arabian Sea. There was no Bay of Bengal. So we are not here to establish individuality that we have been working on. Neither are we here to establish the totality. We want to be established in the absolute as the absolute. That is our destination. नाचिकेतसा प्राप्तं नाचिकेतं मृत्युना प्रोक्तं मृत्यु प्रोक्तं इदमाख्यानम् उपाख्यानं वल्लीत्रयलक्षणं सनातनं चिरन्तनं वैदिकत्वादुक्त्वा ब्राह्मणेभ्यः श्रुत्वाचार्येभ्यः मेधावी ब्रह्म एव लोकः ब्रह्मलोकः तस्मिन् महीयत आत्मभूतो उपास्यः भवति इति अर्थः. One sentence, complete thing. The beauty of this Sanskrit language is you put the word anywhere. You can begin with it, bhavati iti artha, and then say bhavati iti artha nachiketam proktam nachiketasa praptam nachiketam, whichever way. If you know the grammar, it will still mean the same. But in English, if you say, you if say has got no meaning. Say if you we, say you if doesn't mean anything. But in Sanskrit, in whichever way you put each word, because of its ending, you can work out where it is, what its placement is, and in what context, with which word precedes it and which word no, there's no preceding and afterward. But the whole context becomes very clear once you know which is the noun, which is the verb, which is the adverb, which is the participle, and which is the various cases are there. Each case represents the action, and various things, and that's the beauty. So here he says, Nachiketam nachiketasa praptam, praptam, having gained. Who gained? Nachiketa gained. Nachiketa gained from whom? Mrityuna proktam, from what? The death, the Lord Death spoke. Mrityu proktam idam akyanam upakyanam, and whatever the story which is enumerated in these three vallis, in these three chapters of the first part of the Kathopanishad, this fable, this upakhyan, and because it is coming in the Vedas, Vallitraya Lakshanam Sanatanam Chirantanam Vaidikatvaduktva. It is a part of the Veda. How come it is part of the Veda? Because it is appearing in the Upanishad. Where do the Upanishads appear? They appear in the Vedas. And therefore, this story is a Vedic story. See? And therefore, it is Sanatanam. It is eternal. And therefore it is eternal. And what after that? Uktva brahmanebhyah shrutva acharyebhyah, and uktva, spoken by whom? Spoken by brahmanas, spoken by acharyas, or here it says spoken by the brahmanas are just, sometimes like we tell the story of Satyanarayan Katha, or grandmother is telling the story to the grandchildren, or we go to the temples while just a satsang is going on, and they tell you some story of some event, whatever they have heard in their life. So either that way, or it has been heard from an acharya, like we are the acharya, you are listening. Once upon a time we were the listener and our teacher was the acharya, and it goes on up to that lineage, goes on to till Adi Shankaracharya. So Acharya, who is Acharya? Acharya should be, not just because he has studied Sanskrit does not mean he has become Acharya. Acharati, the one who puts into practice what he is teaching, is an Acharya. See? Why children don't listen to our parents? To their parents? Because parents are only telling what they should do and what should not do, but themselves are not practicing in life. Therefore, there is a disconnect. The child sees they are hypocrites. Similarly, there are acharyas also who are like that, and automatically you move away from such people. You gain whatever you have to gain. A realized master is the ultimate. Shrotriya Brahmanisht. Shrotriya, well versed in the scriptures. Brahmanisht, scriptures are talking about self-realization, established in the self. He is self-realized. And if such a person is an acharya, to balle balle, there was nothing greater than that. But no master worth his salt will ever declare that I am a realized master, because it is not something to be declared. You also cannot come to know that a person is realized or not. You only look at the symptoms. So, from a listener point of view, from a student point of view, from a seeker's point of view, our attention should be only on the conscious principle. In that journey to ourselves, whichever teacher comes in our life and gives a push ahead, fantastic. Maybe one teacher comes, he gives you the complete push. Maybe you get a little bit push, then someone else comes. But don't look for someone. If you look for someone, then we are going the wrong way, because then we are making the decision. We are not allowing the nature to play its course. You don't push the world out of your mind when you go to sleep. You only focus on the sleep. World goes out. Similarly, you don't go and seek a teacher, acharya. But we must be available. The urgency has to be there. Availability has to be there. And with whatever between these 2 years, whatever is there, this grey matter, in which manner, what is it seeking? What was Nachiket seeking? And Nachiket was also 7 years old. Dhruv also was 7-year-old. What did Dhruv achieve and what did Nachiket achieve? Think. So Dhruv, he did tapasya for 3 months, no eating, no drinking, no going to toilet, nothing, sitting there, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But what was the prompt which made him go through such great tapasya? The prompt was, the desire was, I want to sit on the lap of my father. What is the motivation that Nachiket has come to the death? Did he want to come to death? No. His teacher. Who was his teacher? His father. His father said, go, I give you to death. He accepted it. How can you say this? I don't want to die. I am only 7-year-old. I got a whole life in front of me. I have not even become a teenager yet. Blah, 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 cry. No, nothing like that. Positive approach. Positive approach. There he doesn't know. He has only heard from his father in the classes about Brahman, about the total self, the great self, about the Avyakta. He has only studied. He has not come to know the self. But when father says, "Go, I give you to death," he has no doubt in the words of his teacher, who is also his father. Instead of condemning his father, instead of complaining to his father, he says, "What does my father want to achieve by sending me to death? What does the Lord of Death want to achieve by making these words come out of my father's mouth?" What a wonderful approach. And if they have said it, that guy, "Go, I give you to death," then they must know that I know the way to go to death. Wow. See the intelligence of and the faith in the teacher, the Acharya, from whom he has studied. No misconstruing the words of the Acharya. From a worldly point of view, how can a father say like that to the child? That father must be a Rakshasa. This is the normal response of the people. Now you decide. You are a part of this world, following the sheep mentality, the sheep responses, कि तुम हटके हो, that you are different, you made of a different metal. So in our life, all we did was seek, all we did was purify, all we did was focus on the reality. Lot of hit and miss, eventually it clicked. Then how does it become? What is this experience that I am having? How do I relate it to myself? What is this meditation, this samadhi? You come to be the self, but now why that self is missing when I open my eyes? For that Vedanta, for that the Upanishads are required. And we cannot understand these Upanishads by just mere reading or reading a commentary. It has to, it doesn't even work on Zoom. I know it is convenient on YouTube and Zoom, but it works only when we are at the feet of the Acharya, when we are in front of the Acharya, because consciousness needs to meet the consciousness. It's not the words which need to meet the ear. They are only the carriers. The consciousness needs to meet the consciousness. Then transformation happens. ब्राह्मणेभ्यः उक्त्वा ब्राह्मणेभ्यः श्रुत्वा आचार्येभ्यः मेधावी ब्रह्मैव लोको ब्रह्मलोकः तस्मिन् महीयत आत्मभूतो उपास्यः भवति इति अर्थः. So you can tell these stories to others, you can listen to stories from acharyas, tell the story to brahmanas, and such intelligent people. See, intelligent people does not mean they are realized. Intelligent people are those who are still in this world, who are still in their practices and continuously refining themselves. And how do you refine? How you and me are doing? Continuously remain in satsang. So here what is told? He is speaking also and he is listening also. You also listen. You are listening already. You also speak. Our topic of discussion should be only this or something like this whenever we meet. Not, how is a slice made, how is a pizza made, how is a lasagna made, how is a quinoa made, have you gone there, have you gone here, all that is the main topic. ये होना चाहिए. This should be the main topic, which has taken us over. We are like fish out of water without this topic. So just like we have complete conviction that when I think of sleep, I go to sleep. You are absorbed into sleep, even though you have never experienced sleep directly. You have only an idea of its after effects. Exactly the same way. What is the after effect? You will be free from the mouth of death. Then what do you have to do? You have to contemplate on the self. You have to contemplate on the absolute reality. How? Single-pointedly. Where? Within yourself. When? All the time. Then what will happen? Automatically the mind will become zero by itself. You are focused on the sleep, mind becomes zero by itself. All the data of the world goes out of the mind by its own accord. You don't have to pluck out one by one. That is done in yoga. Kshipta, vikshipta, moodha, kshipta, vikshipta, ekagra and niruddha. When our attention is on all the others except ekagra. But ekagra on what? Single pointed on what? Single pointed not on I have to empty my mind. It will be temporary. Then single pointed on who am I? I am that infinite reality. I am that conscious principle. I am that all-knowing principle. Then why in this life I am expressing as if I am a finite being? Why don't I have all the knowledge? Where am I falling short? This should itself be a great impetus for us to continuously think about our essential nature. See? So just as when we single-pointedly think about sleep, we get absorbed in sleep. Individuality is gone. All objectivity is gone. Body identification is gone. Similarly, first we have to be convinced. How do you get convinced? By continuously talking, narrating this story and listening to this story. The more you listen, the more you talk about it, the more deeper it will go into your being. And we become focused on this reality. When we become focused on the reality, automatically the mind is not available to the world. So the data of the world is becoming less and less and less and less. And eventually, as the refinement continues, without going to sleep, because in sleep you cannot focus on the reality, only in the conscious, when you are conscious you can focus on reality. This is the positive approach. You will be absorbed. Now don't think absorption is like something from here is getting sucked into, like the Coca-Cola is getting absorbed through the straw into you, so it is sucking you in. Nothing like that. It's the absorption is like the mother gets absorbed into the woman, the wife gets absorbed into the woman, it comes out of the woman, it gets absorbed into the woman. The mother comes out of the woman, again gets absorbed into the woman. It's an absorption-less absorption. It is a creation-less creation. हाँ, देखो मज़ेदार है, एक एक थॉट कहीं और लेके और डीप चले जाएंगे, आनंद ही आनंद. But we remain focused. How? By continuously reveling in the thought of this story. Chant every day the 3 chapters. It will not take too long. Chant, chant, chant. Tell the story, listen to the story, listen to the Vyakhyan, what we have done over the last, how many, 40, 50 lectures now. Somewhere it will click. You know, like when we were in school, we used to do the mathematical sums. We keep doing the examples one after the other till we understand the whole flow of how to go through the equations. Then we leave the examples and we take actual questions, and we apply the same rules of coming to the conclusion again and again and again and again and again. We take the past year exams and we try to solve them till we become perfect with that particular equation, with that particular theorem. With that principle, repetition. Not saying, "Arey yaar, main itna kar raha hu, I'm not getting all, every time I'm getting wrong answer, I'm not going to do it anymore." No, if your goal is something great, then you will say, "No, I'm going to crack it. Where am I going wrong?" And suddenly something shifts in your mind and everything becomes clear in that particular equation or principle. Just like once upon a time when we were studying, things were unclear. Panchakoshas, total self, individual self, virtual self, Panchamahabhut, so much data. Within first month, so much data came because I was never exposed to it. It was like I was swimming in, I don't know, ocean of words. But listen. After 3-4 months, bang, every new terminology, we knew the meaning, we knew the context, and the teacher, the Acharya, our Swamiji, are continuously reminding us. Where the question comes, there the answer is. You are the consciousness. Bhagavad Gita is telling that, Upanishads are telling that, Panchadashi is telling that. Take any text, it is telling that alone. That you are the source, you are the constant one. Don't search it outside. And one day it clicks all by itself. That is, when it happens all by itself, it is called grace. There also the teacher tells, or the scriptures say, that grace is always. You have to become available. You have to stop insisting that I want to know. Initially it is okay. That single pointedness should be relaxed focus. It should be relaxed. It's not hit out or get out focus. I'm going to see how I don't reach there. Not like that. The realization that this focus, this single pointedness is also by His grace. I don't have to worry about it. He made the mind single pointed. He made the mind to contemplate on it. It is up to Him to absorb or not to absorb, because I have got no ability to be absorbed. It is all I can do is knock the door. The Lord has to open the door. The infinite has to open. These are just terminologies by which we are putting across the point. So this Brahma Loka Tasmin Mahiyata, that this Brahma Lok, the abode of Brahman, we are not talking about Brahma Lok. Brahma Lok is the Satya Lok. Satya Lok is Hiranyagarbha. So some people take Brahma Lok, when you take Vishishta Advait or Dvaita philosophy or Vishishta Advait philosophy, they take it as Brahma Lok, which is the world of totality. Because they don't want to understand the absolute. So for them the journey is only up till there, till Brahma Lok. And what is Brahma Lok? I am in all are in me. But are the Upanishads to take you to the totality, or are they there to take you to the infinite? So when we take it as infinite, Brahma Lok is taken as the world of Brahman. It is all that there is. It is the one which we must contemplate upon and realize that this self alone is Brahman. Atma, that Brahman is the Atma of the total. I can't use the word totality also. But the language of the word Brahman is used, the greater than the greatest. For us, what is greatest? This cosmos is greatest. So what is behind the cosmos? The Brahman. When we look at the totality, when we look at the grandness, so when we look at the macrocosm, what is the consciousness transcendental to the to the macrocosm? It is called Brahman. What is the consciousness transcendental to this microcosm called body? It is called Atman. So this individual called Jivatman first recognizes that he is the Atman, other than waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, other than this body. And then from the second question, the Vaishwanara Agni, he comes to conquer the Brahmalok, the total cosmos, and goes beyond goes beyond to be the Brahman, to be absorbed in the Brahman as the Brahman. Because we may use the words, just as we use the word mother and daughter. They are two different words, two different roles, but the same woman. Similarly, we may use the two words Atma and Brahman, and in between both of them Ishvara or Brahmalok, Hiranyagarbha. But the consciousness is the same. We may use the word bulb, we may use the word laptop, we may use the word phone for recording. All of them are functioning, but what is the common factor? Electricity. What is the common factor behind the ocean and the wave? Water. Then why don't you call it water? Because your attention is on the form. And in your attention, because I am an individual form, microcosm, there must be a cause called macrocosm. We have to go beyond both. We have to recognize behind both of them, beyond both of them, transcendental to both of them, is this absolute principle. And that is told here as Brahma Lokah Tasmin Mahiyata Atma Bhuta Upasya. And where can you contemplate and come to know this Brahma Lok? How do you by contemplating on the Atma. And therefore it should be contemplated as your own Atma Swarup, not somewhere outside, not in the temple, not in the stars, not in the any object of this creation. It should not be this Atma, this absolute reality should not be contemplated on any object of this creation. Then where? Atma Swarup. It is your nature. You are it. But remember one thing, I am it not as the individual ego. Not as the individual. As the Atman. Continuing the last verse of this chapter. Ya imam paramam guhyam Shravayed Brahma Sansadi Prayata Shraddha Kaleva Tadanantyaya Kalpate Tadanantyaya Kalpata iti Ya imam paramam guhyam Shravayed Brahma Samsadi Prayata Shraddha Kaleva Tadanantaya Kalpata iti Srimad Parivrajakacarya Govind Bhagavat Pujya Pad Shishya Srimad Acharya Shankara Bhagavatah Krutau कठोपनिषद भाष्ये प्रथमाध्याये तृतीयवल्ली भाष्यम समाप्तम इति कठोपनिषदि प्रथमोध्याय समाप्तः. So in the last verse it says ya imam paramam guhyam shravayed brahma samsadi. What is that? Whoever, yah, imam paramam, this deeply secretive story, Upakhyan, Imam Paramam, Shravayet Brahma Samsadi, narrates it or recites it, even recital of this Kathopanishad in front of the Brahmanas or at the time of Shraddha. Shraddha is, what is that? What is Shraddha? When someone passes away, at that time, the ceremony that goes on when you do the Pindadan and all that, that is called Shraddha. Some people do it every year, even for their ancestors. Or at the time of the Shraddha, Prayata Shraddha Kaleva, tada anantyaya kalpate, or the ceremony of the Paramam Guhyam, the highest secret, obtains what? Obtains tada anantaya kalpate, that he obtains immortality. And whenever in a verse 2 times the same thing is told in our scriptures, tada anantaya kalpate iti, 2 times the same, attains immortality, it means the chapter has concluded. So attains immortality. Now you will say, just now you were talking about Brahman and now they are talking about Shraddha. Shraddha is of a physical body. We were talking about the absolute reality, the infinite reality. So we have to take it in the context of what is being told. And here what is being told in this particular verse, excuse me, but when these verses are chanted in front of the Brahmanas, the learned ones, those who are following the Karma Kand, they are doing the Havan, the Pujas, living a disciplined life. See? I remember my grandfather, when he was about one day before he passed away. For 3-4 days he was just sitting with a blank, no blinking, only looking into nothingness. But if people are going to visit him, many of our family friends were going there, and if they ask him, how are you, all is fine, he will never answer. But if they chant Om Ganana Antva Ganapati Ganghavamai, he will immediately start chanting along with them. If they chant Shubham Karoti Kalyanam Arogyam Dhana Sampada, immediately he will chant the mantra also with them. So they used to think, Anna is speaking. So they will ask, how are you? Again, blank. He did not want to communicate to anyone in the last 5-6 days with anyone about anything. And those people, I used to go, but then one day they came home and they said, this is what is happening. So I had also noticed it, but I didn't know that he was chanting. So when I went, I started chanting and he chanted along with me. I asked him questions, he would not answer any questions, again sit blank. At that time, in his right ear, I remember chanting all these mantras, not especially this particular Upanishad, but I gave him the precis, the essence of the entire Vedanta in about 12 minutes. And after that, I asked him, Anna, did you understand? I can't forget that those eyes and the love that came across from my grandfather. He looked, he says, that's what I am doing, and went back into that zone. See? Can we say that if death is coming tomorrow, our mind will be contemplating like this? Only fixated on the truth, not caring about who is coming, who is going, food is coming, food is not coming, bedsheet is changed or not changed. Only focused on the reality. From that moment onwards, I became silent. All doubts in my mind about him were gone forever. I knew he was in the right place. Not physically, mentally. The mind was ready to be absorbed into the consciousness. Can we say that about ourselves at this moment? Quickly we'll finish it. Yah kaschid imam grantham paramam prakrushtam guhyam gopyam shraddhayet granthatah arthatascha brahmananam sansadi brahma samsadi prayatah shuchir bhutva shraddha kaleva shravayed bhunjananam tad श्राद्धमस्यानन्ता तत् श्राद्धम अस्य अनंत फलाय कल्पते संपद्यते द्विर्वचनम अध्याय परिसमाप्त्यर्थम. Whoever, here it is told, whoever, any person, whoever this supremely subtle and secretive story or this grantha narrates. And how does he narrate? Just not like that, with a pure mind, with a pure having taken shower, the whole, like when we go to a temple, we don't get out of the bed and straight away go to the temple. How do we go? We take shower, we wear the best clothes, make ourselves look beautiful. We want to present the best that we are in front of a stone statue. Brahmanas are those who are living a disciplined life. Brahman is who is technically, he who is contemplating on Brahman. To such a person, will you go in a shabby way? You should be at your best. Complete hygiene from outside, inside, in a happy mood, completely settled in mind, conscious of the self that you are, contemplating on these verses, then narrate these verses. Here it is told, with having purified yourself, who narrates this this Upanishad in front of the Brahmanas, or at the time of Shraddha Kal. At the time of Shraddha also, Brahmanas are invited. At that time also you can narrate to them. You have to feed the Brahmins, not feed the orphans or feed the beggars. What beggars can bless you? Only Brahmins can. Brahmins meaning those who are dedicated to the divine. They are called Brahmins. Only they can bless. And how does he narrate this Upanishad to them? Merely by chanting the mantras. He doesn't have to give a lecture. Merely by chanting the mantras. then that person's Shraddha uh, uh, gains the relative here, because Shraddha is in the worldly sense. So he attains relative immortality. Who? I don't know about the departed soul. We do Shraddha for the departed soul. Whether they hear or not, we don't know. But it is for sure, you are listening, you will certainly attain immortality. And if you take death as a principle, I'm talking from a different angle now, it's not given here. If you take death as a principle, every moment Shraddha is going on. Every moment you are dying. With what words are you dying? With what words are you dying? Are you dying with the words of "Hi mere bacche, hi meri biwi, oh my dear children, oh my darling children, what will I don't want to leave you, I don't want to leave you my wife, I don't want to leave you my husband"? Or are you dying every moment contemplating on the Katha Upanishad and its meaning, like my grandfather was? Think. We are not even clear where we want to go in life. We have to be crystal clear what is our destination, why we are born, what is our destination. And as I said, द्विवचनम अध्याय परिसमाप्त्यर्थम. 2 times it is told tada anantaya kalpate, because it indicates the conclusion. So with this we conclude the first part of the Kathopanishad, the Prathamadhyaya, with the 3 parts. Part 1 was the story of Nachiket, second part talked about the Vaishwanara Agni, and the third part talked about is there life. Some people say there is soul after death, and some people say there is no soul after death. So please tell me what is the truth. So that was the third chapter, the third question, and with that we have concluded. And remember, here we are not looking at relative immortality. Our goal is absolute reality. Relative immortality, even the creator, Brahmaji, they also become unmanifest and they become manifest after the cycle of creation is over. So we are not looking at that. We are going beyond. That is the purpose of the Upanishads. That is the purpose of Vedanta, to make us be established in our own essential nature, bar anything else. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sit quietly for a moment. Hari Om everyone.